This is why we need to examine ourselves. When you look at the parable that the Lord gives in Mark 4, verses 1 through 20, I'm not going to read them here for the sake of time, but go and read that. He gives the parable of the sower. And he talks about how someone goes out and they sow seed. And they throw some down there, and some falls on rocky ground, and some falls on stony ground, and some falls by the wayside, and then some falls on good soil. And you've got four types of seed being, four types of sowing of seed here, and four responses. Three of them are bad, one of them is good. And he talks about how the seed is thrown by the wayside. And those, then he explains it, and he says, people hear the word of God, they hear the truth, but as soon as they hear it, Satan comes along, and he just takes that seed away. He grabs it away. So people, there may not be, they're not even, maybe not even thinking about conversion. They just go on their merry old way. Then there's other people that he talks about. It was thrown on stony ground. The seed was thrown out, and it went on stony ground. These are the people, he says, that they received the word. They heard the gospel. They received it, and they received it with gladness. But because it was stony, there was no real depth. The seed couldn't get down in there and put roots into the earth. It was stony. And so when tribulation came and when hard times came, they fell away. So these are not Christians losing their salvation. We're talking about people that have maybe heard the word and they said, oh, this sounds good, and they like this, and they receive it with gladness. And maybe they start in their mind to start to follow Jesus. But then you know what? It isn't all peaches and cream. It isn't as rosy as they thought. Maybe they're not getting all the blessings that someone promised them that they thought they were going to get. It gets a little hard. A little tribulation comes. Maybe they get a little persecution comes, and they go, oh, I didn't sign up for this. That's the people on the stony ground. And they walk away, and they're not truly converted. Then there's the ones where he talks about the seed goes in among thorns. It's sown among thorns. They hear the word, and they receive the word, and they're happy with the word. But then the cares of the world come in. It says the deceitfulness of riches and the desire for worldly things causes them to fall away. I think that's where a lot of false conversions come. My opinion is there are a lot there. People want to accept Christ, or maybe they walked an aisle, or maybe they prayed a prayer and only God knows their heart. But you know what? Then they start looking at what was in the world and what they had, and they start looking at material things and the deceitfulness of riches and the pleasures of the world. And I don't really want to give up that, and I don't want to do this, and I don't want to. And the world starts throwing that hook and pulling them back in, and eventually they just walk away. They walk away from their Christianity. Or even if verbally they don't walk away, they start living a worldly life. And they think they can just take Jesus and put him over here on the side. And when I want to go to church, I'll go to church. When I want to follow the Bible, I'll follow the Bible. When I want to do what the world says and have the pleasures of the world and do the things of the world, that's a person who's not truly born again. And that's what Christ talks about here. The thorns come in and choke out the true word of God and choke out their spirituality, and they leave. And then he says there's those where the seed falls upon good soil, and it gets down in there, and the roots go down in, and they start producing fruit. There's the good soil, some 30-fold, some 60-fold, some 100-fold. That's the people that have truly been born again. They start bearing fruit, and they start multiplying. We're going to examine that more closely. So you see the differences are here. So again, in closing here, I want to throw out this question again. Are you sure? Are you sure that you are a child of God? Are you sure that you are truly born again? And if you're saying yes, okay, what are you basing it on? Are you basing it on your standards and what you think, or what some pastor told you? There's all kinds of stories out there. There's some pastors will tell you, well, if you prayed a prayer, that's it. You just prayed the prayer and you're saved and everything's fine. And to doubt that salvation would be terrible. That's not true. Now, we're not trying to make everyone go through the rest of their life doubting. I said that in the beginning. But we want to do here, we want to make everyone sure that they're saved and know why they're sure. Know why, not assume. The last thing we want to do in anything here is to assume. To assume that everything is all right. We want you to know. We want you to know exactly where you stand. And that only happens by taking the Word of God, opening it up, and examining ourselves according to what God says. Not what a pastor says, not what I say, not what any author says, not what this one you heard or that one had, or not what you think or what you feel, but what God says. Because when we do that and then we pass the test, then we will have assurance that Satan will never be able to attack. And if it's not good, if it's not real, we want to find that out now. We don't want to find it out when we're standing face to face with Jesus Christ, like these people in Matthew 7 were, and he goes, I never knew you. Ow! Then it's too late. I hope this is, I kind of used the opening just to put the challenge out there, to give you some statistics to show you why I'm even doing this series. I really pray that you're going to continue on, because now we're going to start to look at is that how God tells us to examine our salvation to make sure that it's real. I really pray that you'll continue on with this series and this study. Thank you for watching, and may the Lord bless you.